is Friday night. I am the Solomonster. It is your SmackDown review, but it's not just any SmackDown review. It is the 4th of July SmackDown review. It is pandemonium outside my window right now. It's pandemonium here. Wherever you may be, I hope you guys are having a good 4th. Keeping it safe. Not the best day of the year for pets if you have dogs and cats. I don't like the fireworks either, but it's something that you got to deal with. But thank you for hanging out with me here on your 4th of July holiday. But you know what? You know what the best part of today is? There's one thing in particular that really puts a smile on my face. And the fact that we're going to be talking about SmackDown tonight, which was not a great show. This is a fucking boring show. Not even that. It's the fact that SmackDown tonight, it was the return to 2 hours of SmackDown. And you know what? That is worth celebrating here with my flag. Happy holiday, everybody. 2 hours SmackDowns are back. Yes, the 3-hour era of SmackDown is dead. It is over. It was long rumored, but it has finally happened. You can tell, man, I'm in a celebratory mood here tonight. This is great. I love it. I love it. I salute 2 hours of SmackDown. Anybody who's upset about that, you can go piss off. Let me tell you something. 2 hours of SmackDown does not a good show make. Let me just make that very clear here at the onset. I never said that SmackDown going back to 2 hours was going in and of itself to make SmackDown a great show. But you know what? I would much rather have 2 hours of a boring show instead of 3 hours of a boring show. And so already SmackDown is much better than it used to be. There you go. I haven't busted out the confetti in a while. Anyway, let's get rid of that confetti here. Yes, we're going to talk about SmackDown here tonight. A very run-of-the-mill main event on a very run-of-the-mill phoned-in episode of SmackDown tonight. We have the new bloodline, the same as the old bloodline, closing the show, putting Jacob Fatu through the announce desk as the new bloodline stands tall. What else did we have on this show tonight? Oh, you know what? Actually, there was one thing in particular that I really liked, which was the return of Drew McIntyre. Thank God Drew McIntyre is back. I actually thought he might miss SummerSlam. I didn't think that Drew McIntyre was going to be around for a little while, but he is back, and back in time for a Saturday night's main event match. Hey, BP Broadcast, happy 4th to you. Calm your tits, okay? Take it down a notch. Don't worry. You'll survive. I'm taking my time here. But yes, Drew McIntyre is back. Former WWE champion was on SmackDown tonight for the first time since we saw him in a cage against Damian Priest back in May. So that was one positive of the show. We have a women's championship match that has been set for Evolution, which is a little over a week away. And so Tiffany Stratton has an opponent for that show. Before she gets to Jade Cargill at SummerSlam, she will have to contend with Evolution first, and they set it up in the laziest possible way. You know what I love? I love how in NXT, Shawn Michaels sets up an entire tournament to determine a challenger for Jacy Jayne and her NXT Women's Championship, right? He goes through this whole rigmarole, and Jordynne Grace now is going to be challenging for the title. And you look at what they've done on the main roster with both women's championships, on Raw with Io Sky and on SmackDown with Tiffany Stratton. And I love how they just come out and they get to pick their opponent. They just come out and say, I'm going to defend my title against you. I'm going to defend my title against you. That's what. Now, on one show, I can understand it, but to do the same thing on both shows at the same time, it's a little much. But basically, we have the same thing going on right now on Raw and SmackDown. I will talk about who the challenger is going to be for Tiffany Stratton, how we got there, and everything else that happened on a very, very dull episode of SmackDown tonight. This is your Friday Night SmackDown review for July 4, 2025. I am the Solomonster. Thank you guys again for hanging out with me on a Friday night. Like and subscribe If we hit 400 likes minimum tonight, we will do Be the Booker at the end of the stream. So be sure to get those likes up. Super chats are open. We got a couple of new ones. I pinned the message in the top of the live chat. There's a new $35 and $40 one. You can find all the special amounts in the description down below. But of course, that is up to you guys. And your support is always very much appreciated. I want to give a shout out to Leopoldo, who I do believe is with us here. So shout out to Leopoldo. He dropped a $30 chat at the very end of the stream on Wednesday night. And so it didn't make it on the air, but I wanted to acknowledge him here. So thank you, brother. I appreciate it. I hope your week is going better than mine, since I ended up having to dole out $1,700 in brake work on my car the other day. Now they want to steal another $2,100 from me. I will be going elsewhere to get a second opinion, but I was not expecting this news this week as I prepare to hit the road tomorrow, this holiday weekend. So I am a sad Solomonster, but hopefully hanging out with you guys will perk me right up here tonight. Solo Sikoa had some car troubles himself of his own tonight. SmackDown opened with the Bloodline pulling up to the arena with the United States champion, the brand new United States champion, because he won the title from Jacob Fatu in Saudi this past weekend. So he was in the back seat and he was talking about how tonight we're going to have a celebration, when all of a sudden Jacob Fatu showed up and he tried pulling him out through the window. And the great Tonga Loa, who made his return. I don't want to undersell this here. I didn't mention that yet, but yes, Tonga Loa is back. He was gone for 6 months, and Tonga Loa made his return at Night of Champions. He got out of the passenger seat of the car to go try to take care of Jacob Fatu. He got thrown into the side of a bus. JC Mateo came around to go after Fatu, who threw him into the car door was open. And so he threw him into the car door. Fatu went back after Solo when all of a sudden Nick Aldis shows up, officials show up, and they get him to back off. So after that, that's how we kicked off the show. But then we go to the arena and we have the King of the Ring, the number one contender for the WWE Championship, Cody Rhodes, on his way out to the ring. Solomonster going to pawn the belt for a new car. Which belt? I have a few of them. No, I ain't pawning that. I ain't pawning the Winged Eagle. The Eagle is staying put. The Eagle is not flying high. It's staying right where it is. But Cody Rhodes was on his way out to the ring. Now, this was, for those who don't know, they taped SmackDown on Monday night because they wanted to give people the night off here for the holiday. So this was taped on Monday after Raw was over. So at this point, these people in the building in Pittsburgh, who were not all that loud for the show on Monday, were already in hour 3 of WWE. So with his crown in one hand and a microphone in the other, Cody gave a shout out first to a young man named Cam, who was sitting up in Club 66, he said, who was battling leukemia. And with that out of the way, he said that the crown represented where we've been. And he mentioned past King of the Ring winners like Bret Hart and Booker T and Stone Cold Steve Austin. He said that it also stood for where we're headed. And he mentioned the main event of SummerSlam, him in a rematch one-on-one with John Cena for the undisputed WWE Championship. And before he could go any further, Randy Orton interrupted, or I should say his music interrupted, and he made his way down to the ring, fresh off his defeat in the finals of the King of the Ring in Riyadh. Orton started by reminding his good friend here that for weeks he told Cody that he would not hesitate. But at Night of Champions, he had Cody dead to rights, right? He was setting up for the punt kick. He was all there. I mean, he got the all clear from air traffic control. All he had to do was launch, and he couldn't do it. He hesitated. Cody, though, pulled the trigger instead, something that Orton admitted he respected. And Orton told Cody to promise him that he won't squander the opportunity to go all the way to SummerSlam and kick John Cena's ass. And you could see Cody, nodding his head in agreement, but before he could say anything, Drew McIntyre's music hit. And he made his way out for the first time since Saturday night's main event in May 24th, I believe. He mocked Randy Orton and Cody for having beta male energy, stating that the alpha had returned. McIntyre said Orton lost the psychological battle because of Cody buttering him up for months and then stabbing him right in the back. He then turned his attention to Orton's surgically repaired back, pointing out how Cody targeted the back at Night of Champions. McIntyre mocked Orton for losing his edge as the legend killer because that legend of Randy Orton was dead as far as he was concerned. McIntyre then turned his attention to Super Cody, stating that he wanted him to win at SummerSlam because this was a match that he's been looking forward to and because he wanted to be the one to rip that title out of Cody's hands. So as McIntyre turned around, Orton delivered an RKO out of nowhere, which, out of nowhere, but everybody should have seen that one coming. So down goes Drew McIntyre. Orton and Rhodes then shared a brief stare down, and Orton left the ring. It is very good to have Drew McIntyre back. He has been consistently one of the more refreshing parts of WWE programming going back to last year. And frankly, even the end of 2023. He's consistently one of the best parts of television. So when he's not around, as with Kevin Owens right now, Kevin Owens hasn't been around for a few months. It's noticeable, when they're not around. And Owens and McIntyre in particular are two heels who were almost, not running the same angle, but they're two heels who oftentimes would go on television and would explain their actions, and it would make sense. They would explain things in a way that made you go, you know what? They're not wrong. They're not totally wrong. They made sense. And them both not being on TV, at least to me, was very noticeable. Now, Owens we're not going to see for a very long time, but that's why I'm very happy to have Drew back. I thought he might miss SummerSlam. The reports indicated that he was banged up and he was taking time off. And anyway, so he's back. Question is, are we going to get a heel Randy Orton? Which is where I thought we were headed. I still kind of feel like we're headed in that direction. I did float the other idea that, again, Antonio wrote into the podcast last week, and the way he laid it out, it was very convincing. I am not convinced that it is the right time for Cody Rhodes to go heel. But if Cody was going to go heel and Orton was not, the way he laid it out, I thought was very well done. I didn't get a tell one way or the other from anything they did in this segment that Orton is going heel. He had a little tense stare down with Cody. But what did he do? He came out here. He admitted that I had the chance. I hesitated. That's my fault. You took advantage. You know what? I respect that. Now you better go to SummerSlam and kick John Cena's ass for me and not squander the opportunity that you won by beating me. All right, and then he dropped Drew McIntyre, who was acting like a dick. So there was nothing that Randy Orton did or said that would indicate there's a heel turn on the horizon or that he is still harboring some sort of grudge against Cody for beating him in the King of the Ring final. The seed was planted. They could come back to it, but nothing on this show that would hint at anything in his immediate future other than a match with Drew McIntyre. We got footage from earlier today. Happy 4th to Zachary and everybody in the chat. We'll have people coming in as things go on, so I just want to wish everybody a happy holiday, wherever you may be. We got footage from earlier today showing Charlotte Flair talking to Nick Aldis and learning that she would be in a women's tag team title qualifying match tonight against B-Fab and Michin and Alba, Fyre, and Piper Niven. And the winner of that match would go on to the 4-way at Evolution to challenge for the women's tag team titles. Charlotte was very confused about this whole tag team partner thing. What do you mean tag team partner? And at that point, Alexa Bliss appeared and revealed that she was going to be Charlotte's partner. She said, I know you don't want to be friends. I'm not trying to be your friend, but do you want to win gold or not? And ultimately, Charlotte reluctantly agreed and then warned her, don't get in my way. Elsewhere backstage, Drew McIntyre walked up to Nick Aldis and demanded a match against Randy Orton. Unfortunately for him, he was informed that Orton had already left the building. But how about a match on Saturday night's main event next weekend? And Drew said, that works for him. So he went to go turn away and leave, and he bumped into Jacob Fatu. They stared at each other just briefly. McIntyre left. Aldis informed Jacob that if he wanted a shot at Solo's bloodline, he could go find a tag team partner, and they can meet two members of Solo's family later on tonight on the show. So Fatu started to walk when Jimmy Uso walked up to him and offered to be his partner. And so the match was made, and that ended up being our main event later on in the show. So we had a qualifier for the WWE Women's Tag Team Championship match at Evolution. So for those who may have missed Raw on Monday night, what they are doing next Sunday at Evolution, Raquel Rodriguez, Roxanne Perez are the Women's Tag Team Champions. Roxanne has officially replaced Liv Morgan as one half of the champs. The two GMs got together and they decided that they would have to defend their titles against one team, one set of challengers representing each brand. So obviously Raquel and Roxanne are from Raw, but you would have a team from Raw, a team from SmackDown, and a team from NXT. So this was to decide the team from SmackDown. Charlotte Flair and Alexa Bliss, B-Fab and Michin, and the Secret Hervis. Match got underway with Bliss, Michin, and Niven starting off with their respective teams. Before Bliss could do anything, Flair blind tagged herself in. So already getting off to a great start here. Michin took out Flair outside the ring. Niven then took flight and took down Michin and B-Fab. Alba got her turn as she jumped from the top rope, wiped out Flair and B-Fab with a dive out to the floor, and that took us into a commercial. So they come back, and Piper lands a senton on Charlotte. A missed senton on Michin allowed B-Fab to enter the match, and she took down Flair and Piper with kicks galore. She was doling out these spinning heel kicks like they were nobody's business. B-Fab shoved Flair into her corner, which allowed Bliss to get the tag. Bliss had B-Fab set up for Sister Abigail, but Michin made the save with a kick to the side of the head. Alba Fyre caught B-Fab off guard with a Canadian Destroyer. Niven then connected with the Boss Man Slam. There was an attempted double team move by the Secret Hervis that got intercepted by Flair and Bliss. Flair scaled to the top rope. Now Alexa Bliss is standing on the apron. Charlotte Flair she's climbed to the top. Clearly, she's setting up for a moonsault because her back is turned. But she looks down at Alexa Bliss and she pats her on the head in a very condescending way. But when she does this, the referee says, tag. Counts that as an official tag. Now, I could pick nits here and say that Charlotte patted her on the head for a second time, which should mean that Charlotte tagged herself back in. But that's okay. It's fine. So Charlotte came off the top with a moonsault to Alba and Piper, who were laid out parallel to each other on the mat. Chelsea Green jumped up on the apron, so Charlotte went over to go boot her off, not realizing that Alexa is now the legal person. So Alexa Bliss comes off with Twisted Bliss to both women who were laying on the mat, and she covers Alba Fyre, and she wins it for her team. This was a decent enough match with the predictable finish of Charlotte and Alexa qualifying and going to Evolution. I said it in my Raw review on Monday night. You know, if you go back, we talked about this. I said, figuring Charlotte and Alexa are going to qualify or be chosen to be the team for SmackDown. I think on Raw, it'll be Asuka and Kairi Sane. If it's not Asuka and Kairi, then I could see the Dungeon Dolls, which is what Natty and Maxine are calling themselves, but I'm thinking Asuka and Kairi. From NXT, my first thought was Zarya and Sol Ruka. If it's not them, then it could be Fatal Influence. And those are the teams that we're probably looking, in addition to Raquel and Roxanne, those are the teams that we're looking at, I think, for the four-way at Evolution. As far as the pairing with Charlotte and Alexa, I've said it multiple times over the last several weeks since they started teasing it. I like it. I like the fact that Charlotte, for a while, it won't kill her to be out of the world title picture. So for her to be doing anything other than just challenging for the championship is a good thing. And now she's out of her comfort zone because she's doing the tag team thing. She's got this reluctant pairing going on with Alexa Bliss. I think it's good for Bliss too, because the rumor was always that Bliss was going to be associated with the Wyatt Six. Now maybe eventually she will be. The Wyatt Six right now, they just got nothing going on. I mean, they're doing their own thing, but there's just whatever magic was there before, it ain't there no more. And to me, if you associate Alexa Bliss in any major way with the Wyatt Six, it does more to drag her down than it does to elevate them. So it's good for her to be off on her own, doing her own thing and not the spooky stuff. I like the pairing. It's an odd couple pairing. I think it'll work, and I absolutely think they are going to end up being tag team champions at some point. And it may not be Evolution, but they are absolutely going to be the women's tag team champions. And if it helps bring out a side of Charlotte at some point that we don't ordinarily get to see, I see that as a positive. We haven't seen it yet. Charlotte is still, she's the queen and she's being herself. But if it helps pull out more of her personality, if it pulls out a side of her that we just do not get to see, I think that's a positive, because Charlotte Flair on these shows is a very one-dimensional character. If they could add a new dimension to her, if Alexa can help facilitate that, that is a plus. So I like this pairing. Now, earlier today, Nick Aldis spoke in the back with the tag team division, all but the Wyatts. Everyone is running down all of the things that have happened over the last several weeks. Fraxiom offers to wrestle Andrade and Rey Fenix tonight, and Nick Aldis approves. As for everybody else, one member of each team would be selected, or would decide who among them would be participating, but they would all link up as partners in a match later on in the show against the members of the Wyatt Six. And all this reminds them, he says, look, the Wyatt Six is here to stay. Whether you like it or not, they're here to stay. And if they win their match tonight, then they will be back in title contention. And so, it was the Wyatt Six. It was Uncle Howdy who actually wrestled. I kind of wish that he wouldn't wear the mask when he wrestles. Maybe wear it to the ring, wrestle without it, put it back on, wear it after the match. He just wears it throughout the entire thing. But it was Uncle Howdy, Dexter Lumis, Joe Gacy, and Eric Rowan against Montez Ford, Chris Sabin, Johnny Gargano, and Berto. Berto and Gacy, they got things going. Lumis got the tag. He threw Berto around before Gargano entered the match. Johnny tried to make peace, drawing on their history together from the way back in NXT. So quite a bit of history there, actually. So he wasn't having any of it. Gargano ate a punch instead. Uncle Howdy stepped into the ring, which led to everybody stepping into the ring, and things descended into chaos. Rowan tried to chokeslam Gargano and Berto. He ended up beating stereo super kicks from Sabin and Ford for his troubles. They sent Rowan to the outside. Rowan recovered, and he tossed Ford into a super kick by Lumis, which led to a commercial break. They came back with the Wyatts working over Ford in their corner. Lumis held Ford in a submission hold, but he couldn't maintain it. So Sabin got the tag, floored Lumis with a missile drop kick, and then actually worked with Gargano to attack Joe Gacy. Montez Ford took flight to wipe out Gacy and Lumis outside the ring. Berto was looking to fly, but he got taken out by Uncle Howdy, who threw him over the top rope. Howdy had Sabin where he wanted him with a Uranagi and tagged in Rowan, who went on the attack. Sabin started crawling, inching towards Johnny Gargano for a tag, and Gargano was on the apron. And Gargano was reaching out, he's trying to make the tag, but standing behind Sabin, unbeknownst to Sabin, is Eric Rowan. And Rowan is staring at Gargano in a very menacing way. And so as Sabin is almost there and reaching for the tag, Gargano pulls back and drops down off the apron. This man right here, he pulled a Sid. Rowan crushed Sabin in the corner and then delivered his Iron Claw slam to give the Wyatts the win. Gargano was the one who was trying to rally the troops in the back before this match and trying to get a whole handshake thing going. And yet he's the one in his partner's desperate time of need who deserts his partner. Rat bastard. This was also a decent match, nothing more. It was a match. I was actually pretty bored with the show by this point. There wasn't a whole lot that changed after this. Look, I mean, there are some things that 2 hours simply cannot fix. There are simply some things that 2 hours cannot fix. But I will always maintain I would much rather sit through a dull 2-hour show than a dull 3-hour show. We got a Julia hype package, our new United States champion. We have 2 of them, although she is much more beautiful. She went back and forth between Japanese and English with subtitles. She said that she knows the title matters, and she worked hard to get here. Blue flames don't flicker. They burn everything down. No mercy, no doubt, no fear. Whoever is next, step closer and feel the heat of her beautiful madness. Ah, Julia. Tiffany Stratton, the WWE Women's Champion, was out to the ring to make a very important announcement as it relates to her challenger at Evolution. Stratton said that since she became the women's champion, she's had a target on her back, but Nia Jax's revenge wasn't enough to stop her from becoming the last woman standing. She turned her attention to Jade Cargill, the winner of the Queen of the Ring and the woman that she will face at SummerSlam, but only after she defeats her opponent that she will choose to face at Evolution. Stratton was interrupted by the Queen of the Ring. Jade comes down to the ring. She talked about how she was crowned queen by beating one of the best in Asuka. Cargill warned Stratton that she had a choice to make, and if she chose wrong, Stratton might not make it to SummerSlam. But it didn't matter who Jade... Man, let me tell you something, man. It is bombs away outside, and some of these explosions are very unnerving. I don't know how it is by you guys. I'm trying to power through it here, but I don't think I'm going to be getting any sleep tonight. Zachary is smitten with Julia. She is a very fine young woman. I can't say that I disagree. So anyway, she said that it didn't matter. Jade said it didn't matter because she'll beat whoever the champion is, regardless of who it is. She will beat the champion, whoever it is. Stratton interrupted and revealed that she had a surprise for everyone. And that surprise turned out to be the Hall of Famer, the former women's champion, right? 6 times, 7 times, I think 6 times. And also in the middle of her 25th anniversary, Trish Stratus. And the crowd goes mild. These people did not care. They were also very tired at this point. But Trish Stratus came down to the ring. And once she was in, she asked, what would Evolution be without some Stratus faction? And she issued a challenge for a title match at Evolution. Stratus talked about how in her day, the women had to fight just to have a single match on the card. What is this, Dynamite? But now at Evolution, they're going to have a card of incredibly talented women. And Stratus gave thanks to Tiffany for letting her kids see her in the ring, but those kids of hers haven't seen their mom as a champion. Stratton said that this wouldn't be easy because this isn't the Attitude Era anymore. And whether it was Stratus at Evolution or Jade at SummerSlam, the WWE would still be running on Tiffy time. There wasn't much point in having Jade out there. I mean, she didn't really have a whole lot to say. So she just kind of stood there for most of this. As far as Trish wrestling for the title, let me just say this: Trish Stratus needs to wrestle for a title as much as Goldberg does, which is to say that neither one of them need to be wrestling for a championship at this point. But at least here, I will say this: at least here, these two were partners earlier in the year at Elimination Chamber. So there is a connection between the two of them. But then again, Goldberg had that little angle he did at Bad Blood last year with Gunther, so that's sort of the little connection between them as well. But in this case, it's very clear, and this was the case with the first Evolution show as well, where we had a bunch of legends on the show. This is their way of getting a legend in a prime spot in a title match, in this case, on the show. They were going to do the same thing with Nikki Bella against Liv Morgan, or maybe even a tag team title match, and that went out the window when Liv got hurt. So they're getting a legend on the show. They have tickets to sell, right? I get it. I get why they're doing it. But it is still very lame to bring these people back for title matches in the way that they have done them. It is so lazy. The way that think about the way they set both of these matches up. Like, if you have a really good story and you think of this in advance, all right, you know what? We're going to bring so-and-so back, and there's a story to be told here about them trying to get one last run as champion and challenging for the title, and here's how we're going to go about setting the whole thing up, and you kind of lay it all out. It could work, right? If there's a good story to go along with it, it could work. But look at what they've done here. Like, we literally 9 days away from Evolution. And Tiffany Stratton comes out and says, I have a surprise. I'm going to introduce the woman I'm defending my title against at Evolution. And out comes Trish Stratus, who we haven't seen in fucking 5 months. Because it's Evolution time. So she comes out there and it's like, okay, you're going to get a championship match now. And then the Goldberg stuff, I've already talked about how they set that whole thing up, which is just ridiculous. There's no effort behind it. It's just, there's no effort. It's the bare fucking minimum. The way that they're setting these title matches up, the way they just spit them out. It's insulting. It really is, for a company that loves to talk about, we tell stories and everybody talks about the importance of story, and you have people that love to shit on everything AEW does. There's no story. Where's the story? Where's the story? Where are those people now? I don't hear from these people. Apparently this is acceptable to them. All I'm doing is calling it out. I love Trish Stratton. I think Trish is great. And Trish and Tiffany may well end up having a really good match. I remember Trish came back and had a really good match at SummerSlam a few years ago against Charlotte Flair. She had that great cage match with Becky Lynch at Payback. Right? Maybe this will turn out to be a really good match too, but you got to call things out. You can't say, okay, this is acceptable here and it's not acceptable there. It just strikes me that we are going into 2 shows on back-to-back nights next weekend where these title matches have been set up in a very lazy way. That's all. But in any event, this is what we're getting as the card begins to come together. At most, we'll have one more segment between these 2 women on SmackDown next week, maybe. And then boom, Evolution will be here. We got a pre-taped vignette with Solo Sikoa and his family. Solo spoke from his, his office, you would call it, I guess. I don't know. And he introduced the newest member of his family, Tala Tonga. Yes, the former Hikuleo is indeed Tala Tonga, who stood very menacingly in the background behind him, with JC Mateo on one side and the great Tonga Loa on the other. Oh, man. I'm sure you heard that. My God. Anyway, Solo said, "Happy birthday, America, from your new United States champion." He said, "This group was nothing like a bloodline. It's way more stronger and dangerous than ever." Well, this man definitely was not an English major. He went straight into the business. Way more stronger, he said. These men are his MFTs, his family tree, and now his family is complete. That was the gist of the segment. Backstage, actually, you might not hear what I'm hearing. You might not. I improved the background blocking, so actually, I may be hearing explosions that you guys are not. So if I seem a little put off in certain places, that's why. I may be hearing things that you're not. Backstage, Trish Stratus was walking and she bumped into Jade Cargill. Boy, this was very awkward. This was very awkward. They were just out in the ring together. Like, if you watched this segment and didn't see what we just saw, you would think they were meeting for the very first time here. The way that Jade was smiling. "Oh, Trish Stratus. It's like, nice to meet you." It's like, wait, did I just imagine what I saw? Did I dream the segment that we just saw? So Jade warned her that if she defeated Tiffany Stratton at Evolution, she would be facing her at SummerSlam. And Trish said, "Well, then I guess I'll be seeing you at SummerSlam." And as she left and Jade was just watching her walk off, Naomi ambushed Jade with a shot to the back with her Money in the Bank briefcase. Naomi knelt down beside her and said Jade should have proceeded with caution. She sounds like an evil movie villain after she hit her with the briefcase.
Proceed with caution.
She sounds like something out of a cartoon. So then Naomi walked off. Nick Aldis rushes over. I guess he saw all of this happen. So he rushes over and he leans down to check on Jade. And Jade says she's had enough of this. She wants a match with Naomi. She wants to get Naomi in the ring. Aldis said, "Go to the trainer's room and we'll talk about it." And later in the show, they made it official. Naomi and Jade Cargill will go one-on-one at Evolution. Then it was the only thing worth watching really on this entire show that came next. Fraxiom against Andrade and Rey Fenix. So I guess this is going to be a long-term thing now with Andrade and Rey Fenix as a team until they come up with a plan for each of them. We got started with Andrade and Fraser mixing it up and neither getting an advantage. Fraser dodged Andrade before making the tag to Axiom as Fenix jumped into battle with a dive. All four men began to trade blows as Andrade got sent out to the floor. Fraser and Axiom blasted Andrade and Fenix with repeated suicide dives to the outside. That took us to a commercial break. Naomi needs a mustache to twirl. Nah, you know what? The one thing, of all the things you could say Naomi needs, a mustache is not one of them. Now I have that image in my head. I'll get you, Gadget. As she sits there stroking her cat. That's what she needs. She needs a pet cat to stroke on the show. See, what they need to do is when they cut to Naomi in the back for like a backstage promo, she should be sitting in a very tall chair with her back turned to the camera, and all we see is like her arm, and we see her petting her cat. And the Money in the Bank briefcase is sitting on the floor next to her. That's how they should shoot these Naomi promos from now on. So anyway, we go to commercial break. Fraxiom kept Fenix grounded for a little bit coming out of it. Fenix took down Axiom with a flipping DDT before Andrade got the hot tag, and he was a House of Fire. And then it was the Eddie Guerrero tribute hour when Andrade did the Three Amigos. Fenix followed with a frog splash, only got a 2 count. Fenix headed up top, but he was intercepted by Fraser. So we got a fight on top that saw Fraser floor Fenix with a superplex. There was a cover by Axiom that got broken up by Andrade. We got a second commercial break. That's how you know they got some time here, because they got 2 commercial breaks. Fraser's Phoenix Splash was dodged by Fenix. Hey, Fenix dodged a Phoenix Splash. That's funny. Actually, I just realized, how is that not his finish? How is that not Rey Fenix's finish? How is it not a Phoenix Splash? I don't know. I mean, it's a crazy aerial maneuver. It fits well right into his normal, group of moves. I don't know. Anyway, the things that just come to me here as I review these fucking shows. So anyway, the Fraser Phoenix Splash attempt did not hit. Andrade got into the ring. With Fraser stunned in the corner, Andrade crushed him with the corner Meteora. Andrade had Fraser in his sights and connected with a double moonsault. He leaps off the top, lands on his feet, and then hits the standing moonsault. Axiom broke up the pin just in time. Fraxiom had Andrade caught with a Spanish Fly and Phoenix Splash combo. Phoenix made the last-second save by leaping onto Fraser, followed by a codebreaker on Axiom. Phoenix hit his Adios Amigo kick to Axiom, and then Andrade delivered the message to Fraser for the win. This was fun. And they got time, too. They gave this match, I think if you include the commercial break, about 15 minutes. On a 2-hour show. There were people who were telling me, the few people who were very upset that SmackDown was being scaled back to 2 hours. Well, I hope you enjoy. You'll never see Andrade again. You'll never see Carmelo Hayes again. You'll never see Rey Fenix again. Really? Andrade and Rey Fenix just got 15 minutes. They were the best thing on the entire show by a country mile. And they need to continue to give them television time. Consistency is the key. 2 hours, 3 hours, doesn't matter. But this was a nice shot of adrenaline from these two teams on a show that desperately needed it. And again, I don't know how long they plan to keep these two together. It just feels like, okay, we have nothing else for them to do. So let's just put them together. This is how makeshift teams come together oftentimes, right? We don't know what to do with this person. We don't know what to do with this person. Let's put them together. And it just so happens that right now SmackDown has the better and the hotter of the 2 tag team divisions. So they fit right in there. And they make a good team, but it just feels wrong to me for Rey Fenix to be in a tag team with anybody other than his brother, with his brother working for the same company. And so at some point we'll get the Lucha Brothers. This feels like a temporary thing until we either get that or they come up with something better for him to do. But this was fun. This was the one really, truly fun thing on the entire show for me. In the back, Damian Priest found Aleister Black. Priest said that Black will take on R-Truth next week. Black says that Priest seems to be setting Truth up, and he warns that violence begets violence. Priest objects to that. The two of them exchange words before Black walks off. And in the main event, we had Jacob Fatu and Jimmy Uso teaming up to take on the team of Solo Sikoa, our brand new United States champion, and JC Mateo. Sakoa tagged out to Mateo right at the start to avoid having to deal with Jacob Fatu. Mateo took the brunt of the punishment from Fatu and from Jimmy. Once they got Jimmy down, Solo felt confident enough to tag back into the match, and he even mocked Fatu's little dance that he does. You know, Fatu, he kind of, he convulses and does that shit, so he was mocking him here. Mateo got the tag, and he flattened Uso with a standing moonsault. Jimmy made a comeback. He delivered a Samoan drop to create some much-needed separation. Fatu got the tag, and he unleashed hell on Solo with a senton. And then followed by a splash in the corner. Fatu blasted Mateo and Solo with super kicks, which left them stunned in separate corners. Fatu took both men out with consecutive hip attacks. Uso and Fatu, they flew through the ropes with dives that took out both heels. In the ring, Solo caught Fatu with a super kick and had the Samoan spike loaded and ready to go, but Fatu planted him with an impaler DDT. Fatu then hit his mighty moonsault, and he pinned the United States champion. After the match, Fatu took Solo outside, and he clears off the announce desk, and he super kicks Solo onto the desk. And then he heads up top, but he got intercepted by Tola Tonga, who showed up. And he grabbed him, and he threw him off the top rope, slammed him down to the mat. The great Tonga Loa joined in on the attack on Jimmy, and Mateo hit the Tour of the Islands. And the family then turned their attention back to Jacob Fatu. So Solo dropped him with a Samoan spike. Solo then ordered his men to drag Fatu outside, and they proceeded to deliver the Shield triple powerbomb to him through the announce desk, which did break. You know, most weeks these tables now, they're reinforced. They don't break, but this table broke. And the show closed with Solo's family standing tall. Even as a champion, his first taste of gold on the main roster, Solo Sikoa is still a loser. Why did he have to lose in this match? He just won the championship less than a week ago. Why was it so important to protect JC Mateo and not have him take the losing fall and have Fatu pin Solo Sikoa? I don't know. I don't know the answer to that. I wouldn't have done it that way, but that's what happened. A very mid-main event to end a very boring show. The dead crowd didn't help, but you know what? Sitting through 5 hours of television as these people in Pittsburgh did, and what does that equate to? About 18 commercial breaks probably over the course of the night that these poor people had to sit through. I'll give them a pass on that. But yeah, no, I mean, this was a very boring show. This was a very boring show. I am happy the show is back to 2 hours, because imagine sitting through 3 hours of this shit. But very much a phoned-in show for the holidays is what this show felt like to me. Now, next week, the Wyatt Six, they're going to get another tag team title match. They had one a few weeks ago. They're getting one next week against the Street Profits. R-Truth is going to go one-on-one with Aleister Black. And maybe the big news here, Jelly Roll is going to be in Nashville on SmackDown next week. Gee, I'm sorry I'm going to miss that. I will not be here next Friday. You guys will have to enjoy some Jelly Roll on your own. That's the lineup for SmackDown next week. Let's take a look at the Twitter poll. SmackDown from Pittsburgh. 57% thumbs up, 42% thumbs down. Boy, you people are awfully nice. You can vote at Solomonster on Twitter. Let's get some patriotic music going here. Got my flag. Here we go. Celebrating 2 hours. There we go. Very good. All right, let's take a look at your super chats, and then I'll get you guys out of here. Yeah, it's looking like no Be the Booker tonight. That's what it's looking like. So we'll take your questions here, and then we'll get you on out of here. We tried. We tried. Got people out celebrating the holiday. I get it. I get it. Well, we're going to start with Havili, who dropped a $60 bomb here before I went live tonight. What's up, Solomonster? It is the 5th of July already in Brisbane, Australia. Favorite Bret Hart versus Diesel match? You know, I'm going to say Survivor Series, 95. They had a whole bunch of matches together. They had the King of the Ring in 94, I think doesn't get enough love. That honestly would probably be my number 2. But they had King of the Ring in 94, Royal Rumble in 95, Survivor Series in 95, the cage match at In Your House in 96. They had some good matches together, but by far the Survivor Series match where Bret won the title is their best. Also, he says if Corey Graves didn't retire, would he have been an NXT champion or a North American champion? Oh, Corey would have been out of NXT by the time they introduced the North American title. Would he have been NXT champion? You know, it's hard to say. I'm gonna say yes. I think he would have gotten a run with it. North American champion, he would have already been on the main roster by then. So on that, I'll say no. If Roman returns, he says, to help Punk or Jacob. Well, I talked about the possibility that maybe when he comes back, it's to actually assist Jacob. You know, it would make sense for him to go after Seth and Heyman for what they did to him at WrestleMania. Rollins seems to be occupied with Punk at the moment. You know, I'll say,
Watch me. Say hello to Liver Morgan. You know you want me, baby.
Thank you, Liver Morgan. Always good to hear from Liver Morgan. Liv Morgan may be injured, but Liver Morgan is doing very well. I'm going to say Seth. It'll probably end up being Seth that he'll go after. But I talked about maybe Roman coming back and providing the assist to Jacob and Jimmy, and they could do them against Solo's family. I mean, I can't say that really excites me, but I'll say when he comes back, it's probably to go after Seth. Holiday 197, if Knight is traded to Raw, they should trade Sheamus to SmackDown and treat him like a top star given his tenure. He's been underutilized. He has been underutilized, but there's no way that they're going to move him to SmackDown and push him in the way that you want them to push him. I just don't see it. But I definitely think he should be featured more often. They should get him a real story. You know, once the Rusev stuff plays itself out, I mean, you know, watch them put them together as a team. We got nothing else for these guys. That's the new thing now. We'll put them together as a team. Death Scythe, thank you for the super chat. What do you think of a potential Dark Side of the Ring episode on Sean O'Hare? 2003, this guy has wins over Chris Benoit and Eddie Guerrero, and they close WrestleMania 20 as WWE and World Champions, and Sean got fired and took his own life. Why did... Man, Cripple Punk. I think that super chat got crippled. I don't know what happened there. I can't even speak. Cripple Punk, thank you for the 35. Oh, that poor super chat. Sounded all mangled. But yes, I would agree. The Sean O'Hare story, he got involved in some shit in his life that he shouldn't have. There's definitely some negative to his story and his behavior, and again, things he was involved in, and also had potential to be a much bigger star than he was. So is it worthy of Dark Side of the Ring? I mean, he wasn't a major star, but he was a television star. He was a star of the TV era, and they've done episodes on people who have far less notoriety than Sean O'Hare does. So the answer is yes. I think you could definitely get an episode out of him. Aussie of Steel. So we have Tama Tonga, Tonga Loa, and Tala Tonga. Can't wait until they sign Bad Luck Fale and rename him Tonga Moa. How old is Fale now? He's got to be probably, is he mid-40s? He's been around forever. Joseph Stewart, buy or sell, the Joker or Lex Luthor? The Joker. Cripple Punk says, it was bound to happen. I am crippled after all. Well, this is true. Joseph Stewart also says, who is the bigger draw in WCW, Sting or Goldberg? At his peak, when he was white hot the way he was, it had to be Goldberg. But Goldberg's run on top was a lot shorter than Sting's, so, I mean, it's all a matter of perspective on how you look at it. What are you looking for when you ask, how over someone is? Goldberg had the hotter run on top, even though it was shorter. Buy or sell, Catwoman or Harley Quinn? Catwoman. And buy or sell, the Riddler or the Green Goblin? The Riddler. Nick Grasso, rest in peace, Michael Madsen and Julian McMahon. Both gone too soon. Yeah, I saw the report earlier on Julian McMahon. That was kind of shocking, actually. He wasn't very old. I mean, what was he, early to mid-50s? Julian McMahon was an actor, for those who don't know. He was on that show Nip Tuck. I think he was one of the doctors many years ago. That show Nip Tuck on FX. But he was in other stuff too. And passed away. Nobody knew he was sick. He had a private battle with cancer. They didn't say, his wife didn't say what kind of cancer it was, but he just passed away on Wednesday. And the news broke today, so very sad. Trill Mexican 305 says, I was in the hospital today. My day was kind of crappy, but Solomonster knows how to cheer me up with the playing of Ultra Boss. Back to love. Thanks, Solo. You're very welcome. I hope it wasn't anything too serious that you were in the hospital for, brother. I hope you're doing better. Holiday 197. A milquetoast episode of SmackDown this week. The only highlight was Drew McIntyre returning. Not one singles match on the show. All tag matches. That's true. I didn't mention that, but that is true. We had the women's three-way. Main event was a tag team match. Best match on the show was a tag team match. Very true. We have Manu Hakala. I don't drink for religious reasons. I drink for completely different reasons. Hey, your reasons are your reasons, brother. Ain't nobody can tell you you're wrong. RD Beats with a 20 spot. Dylan here. Just wanted to update you. I'm working in the biggest match and biggest crowd of my career tomorrow. AAPW Tag Team Title Casket Match. I've promoted the hell out of it, including the best promo on my socials. That's very cool. Well, tag me in it on Twitter. I'd like to check that out. And good luck. A Tag Team Title Casket Match. So do both members of a team have to end up in the same casket, or is it just is one member good enough? Curious how the rules work for this. The Chicken. What is your opinion on Cody Rhodes playing Guile? If it means John Cena holds on to the championship longer, I hate it. If it has no impact on that, then I have no opinion on it. I honestly have I've never seen, I know Cody Rhodes has a cameo in the new Naked Gun movie that's coming out with Liam Neeson. I don't think I've ever seen Cody Rhodes act in anything before. So I have no idea how big of a role he's going to have in the movie, if he's going to have dialogue, if it's going to be a brief fight scene. I don't know what to expect. I don't really have an opinion on it one way or the other. I just hope he's not gone long enough to interfere with whatever their creative plans are. And beyond that, until I see it myself, I just don't have any opinion on it. Juster Benz, $5 super chat. I have zero interest in the WWE product at the moment, so I'm going to dip, but just wanted to send some love and support solo. Thank you, Juster. Well, certainly not after this show. I can understand after this show. This is a fucking boring show. Randy Bobandy, buy, sell, rent, leave on the shelf on Michael Cole commentary partner, Pat McAfee, Corey Graves, Bradshaw, and Taz. Michael Cole and Taz were a very good team. Where would I rank them, though? You know what? I think I might put them number one. I think I might go Cole and Taz number one on my list. Cole Taz, Cole Pat. I'm torn between Pat second or Corey second, because Pat does bring out a side of Cole that we really hadn't heard before, or he just seems genuinely happy and like he's having more fun. Too much Pat is not a good thing, though. Pat gets on my nerves very quickly. There are times I enjoy it. There are times I don't. That's why I don't mind Corey sitting in for him right now, and Corey is very good. So I'm a little torn on who to put number two. I'll go Cole Taz, Cole Pat, Cole Corey, and then Cole Bradshaw. Cripple Punk, what's a pirate's favorite letter? A writ of safe passage from His Majesty King Charles II of England. Okay. That's a statement of fact, I guess. All right, Cripple Punk, thank you. Groovy Goose, when Braun Strowman was getting pushed in the late 2010s, a buddy of mine compared it to Luger's push. Would you say that was an apt comparison? No. I mean, I'm not sure. You have to explain that comparison. I don't see the connection there. Luger, when he was at his peak, was far more popular than Braun Strowman was. Number one, Homo sapien. Why couldn't the kids see the pirate movie? It was rated R. Rated R. You suck. Yes. Aaron with a $4.99. Andrade and Zelina should be paired as heels. It would benefit both of them. Also, who do you think Cena's final match will be against? Dude, when they brought Andrade back, I was pitching him and Zelina to be put back together as a combo. Especially now that Zelina had her US title run, like, they're not going to do anything with her. She'll be lucky if she gets into the Battle Royal at Evolution. For her, it would be a great thing. For him, it would be a great thing too, I think. But he's got a good thing going now with Rey Fenix. How long is that going to last, though? Cena's final match? I don't know. We saw him and Punk. I mean, there are people I would love to see him in the ring with one more time before it's all said and done. Him and Sheamus, him and AJ. I don't see any of those guys as his final opponent. Randy Orton, that's already been done. I feel like it depends on how things go at SummerSlam. It could be Cody. They could do 3 matches. It could be Cody. If it's not Cody, you know, him and Drew McIntyre is something I wouldn't mind seeing. Is Cena going to win his final match? Is he going to go out on his back? I don't know. I'll talk about Cena briefly on the show on Sunday as far as his retirement match and the when and where on that. Tamatonga Superfan. Oh my God, we have Tamatonga Superfan. Not Tonga Loa. We have Tamatonga Superfan. Does Tamatonga have a top 3 catchphrase in WWE history with his yeah, yeah, yeah noise that he makes? No, he doesn't. It's not a catchphrase. It's a noise. Like if he fucking farts or belches, that's not a cat. If I sit here right now and I fucking belch into this microphone, that's not my catchphrase. Holiday 197, what topic or incident would you most like to see Dark Side of the Ring cover next the most? Go back and check out the episode where I covered the last episode of the last season, because I listed a whole bunch of potential episodes there. So that'll give you a better sense of what I'm hoping to see. I smoke a lot of weed. $1.99. Glad that my makeshift tag team idea made it in Be the Booker. You know, sometimes smoking a lot of that weed could actually help your creative juices flow. It was a good idea. Speaking of Be the Booker, we are at 370 likes. That's not going to cut it. And we got Common Pearson. This became a sound off superstar. Hey, Common, happy July 4th. I hope you have a very good weekend. Where is Tala Tonga Superfan? He's too new. He's too new to have a superfan. Ian Gomes, $5 super chat. It's my birthday tomorrow. Any advice on how to get your 30 started off on the right foot? Yeah, don't get blackout drunk and wake up and be sick the next morning. Some people do that, you know, on their 30th birthday. Not that I would know anything about that. But to get it off on the right foot, the best advice I could give you is to, if you can, everyone's situation is different, obviously, but try to spend it with friends and or family. You know, the older you get, birthdays get kind of like, you almost don't even want to celebrate them. But at that age, you should go out, do something, hang out with friends, go out to dinner somewhere. Try to do something that you want to do because it's your birthday. That would be the best advice I can give you. And happy birthday, brother. Retro KOH, Solo should leave a belch at the end of this week's podcast. New catchphrase. It'll get over. Yeah, I don't know about that one. There are just some ideas that might sound good on paper. That doesn't even sound good.
By the power of Valhalla, it's vintage coal tar.
Look who it is. Havili has returned. And we have coal tar. Look at this. He brought coal tar with him. I didn't think we were going to see coal tar here on Independence Day. But there he is. No message, just showing some love. $65 super chat, a red bomb from Havili, who is all the way over in Brisbane. So I know, you know, July 4th doesn't mean anything to him, but Havili, thank you very much. You're awesome. And I hope you have a great weekend. Dropping the bombs, that's right. Dropping the bombs, man. That's what Havili does. And I see that we are officially at 408 on the likes, which means we are, in fact, going to do Be the Booker. How about that? I didn't think we were going to make it. I thought everybody was out celebrating and barbecuing and lighting themselves up and lighting themselves on fire and blowing off their fingers and doing all the stuff people do on July 4th, but you guys pulled it off. Rojo Bear, 40 months of channel membership is what he is celebrating. Rojo Bear, I salute you, sir. Let's be the booker.
Ladies and gentlemen, it is now time to be the booker.
It is now time. It is that time. It is the only time to end the week. And you do it with a little be the booker. Deputy Dog says, barely made it. Okay, well, very appropriate on a night where we had all tag team matches on this show, that we start out with a tag team match. How's that sound? We start out with a hell of a tag team. Tyson Kidd and Cesaro, the former Raw Tag Team Champions. Man, Natty has been there for a long time. Tyson Kidd and Cesaro are going to be defending those Raw Tag Team Ugly Penny Belts against a real set of Tag Team Champions. Look at those titles. Stone Cold Steve Austin and Dude Love. What kind of match do you think that would be? Stone Cold Steve Austin and Dude Love against Cesaro and Tyson Kidd. I'm here for it. Tyson Kidd is totally eating a stunner and getting pinned, but it's a great one. That's a great match. Let's keep it rolling. We got in women's Be the Booker, Jamie Hayter, the former AEW Women's World Champion, who I was very much hoping would be going to Texas next weekend to challenge Toni Storm, and didn't quite work out that. Not only did it not work out that way, but she's been hurt ever since. So best wishes to her. Jamie Hayter, one-on-one with, oh no, look who it is. It is Maki Ito. Maki Ito says, go fuck yourself, as she flips the double bird here to Hikaru Shida. Maki Ito and Jamie Hayter. Jamie Hayter is going to turn this girl to dust with one haterade. She's going to just absolutely destroy her. But Maki Ito is going to put up a fight. She's scrappy. And in our main event, Liv Morgan gives you her room key. Now pick a stip. Liv Morgan tells me to pick a stipulation, then I'm picking a damn stipulation. That's what I'm doing. Taking that room key. Thank you very much. All right, let's pick a stip. We're getting a stipulation here for our main event tonight. It will be a last man standing match. So now we know what kind of match it's going to be. Last man standing. Be the Booker has been Oh no! Oh no! Be the Booker has been repossessed by the Repo Man. What is this? The Repo Man has repossessed Be the Booker. Game over. We get no main event. And here I was looking forward to booking a last man standing match. But alas, it has been repossessed. Nothing I can do. Those are the rules. Nothing I can do. That's right. What's mine is mine, and what's yours is mine too. That you talk about wrestling catchphrases. That's one of the all-time great ones. If we were at 500 likes, I would say, fuck it, we'll do a second round, but we're nowhere close to that. But you know what? We were 2 for 2. We technically did have a sweep. Not the sweep we were hoping for, but we had 2 for 2. Really good tag team match. Good women's match. But we will have to wait until next week to see if we can get our main event back. That'll be on Monday night. Yes, he stole Macho Man's hat. Yes, he did. Next time I am live with you will be on Monday night for the Raw post show. Of course, Sunday will be episode 919 of the Sound Off, which will include All In Texas predictions. I'll be live on Monday. I'll be live on Wednesday for the Dynamite post show. There will be no SmackDown review next week. I will be in Texas for House of Glory. I will rush back to New York early the very next morning so I could be here to watch All In, and I will be live after the AEW pay-per-view next Saturday. At some point, I will have to catch up with Saturday night's main event so I could cover it on the Sound Off next weekend. But that is the schedule of events heading into what is going to be a very busy weekend. I am not covering the Great American Bash. That card looks like ass, to be honest with you. But I'm watching All In, so I'm not covering the Great American Bash. And I will be covering Evolution live. So there's a whole lot of shit going on. I'm not going to get any sleep, but that's next weekend. So just be aware of that. Base Beerus, $2 super chat says, Repo Man. Repo Man. He looked like he was having a lot of fun with that gimmick. I think he enjoyed himself more as Repo Man than he did as Crusher Khrushchev. Just a hunch. When is Saturday night's main event even? It is next Saturday at 8 p.m. on NBC. So probably as All In is ending is when Saturday night's main event is going to be starting, because All In starts at 3. You know that pay-per-view ain't going less than 4 hours. Probably closer to 5. And then I'll be live while Saturday night's main event is on the air. So, thank you, Zachary. Is special referee a stipulation and be the booker? Yes, it is. I think I've covered all possible stipulations and be the booker. I've tried to. I'm always trying to think of a new one that maybe I missed. But there's a bunch of stipulations in there. And the Juliet with a $5 super chat. Congrats to Chris Statlander on winning the Pro Wrestling Eve International title. How about that? She'll be entering number 1 in the Women's Casino Gauntlet match in Texas next weekend. So if she wins, she will earn a future world championship match at any time. Leopoldo, Repo Man stealing a girl's bike. I remember that too. He stole a girl's bike. I think he stole a car out of someone's garage at night because the guy missed, I think he was 1 day late on his payment. So the Repo Man went to his house and stole his car with glee. Did I see the Bret Hart Bam Bam Fireball segment on the Vault? I did, yes. And I can see why that never aired. That was not a great promo from Bam Bam. That Fireball, that was a little too close. He got all up in Bret's face with that fucking Fireball. I wouldn't have taken that. And Bret put all that shit in his hair, fucking 65 pounds of oil and grease. You get that close with a flame, that could have gone very badly. But yeah, I had never seen that before. They never aired that. The Vault this week, man, has been the gift that keeps on giving, man. They posted a whole bunch of new generation stuff this week. Outtakes from like vignettes and stuff. I'm sure you've seen all day long. People were sharing the clip of Vader bouncing on the trampoline and doing moonsaults on the trampoline. Like this is the stuff that I love when it comes to the Vault. Like I live for that stuff. That's the kind of content I want to see them pumping out. Have yourselves a great rest of your 4th of July. Stay safe. Be well. I will see you for episode 919 of the Sound Off, dropping Sunday afternoon. Until then, let me get my, hold on a second. I can't leave yet until I wave my flag and play my music to play me off. Here we go. Happy 4th, everybody. Happy 4th. The Repo Man and IRS should have been a team. You know what? Surprised they never actually had an alliance. That would have made a lot of sense. Money Inc. hiring Repo Man to repossess shit for them. Oh, I love it. Happy 4th, everybody.